The county government campus is the home of this morning's guest. Find out about Horry County government coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald. We're focused on Horry County government, and we're visiting with its public information officer, Lisa Bourcier, the birthday girl. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. How are you?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What about that?
It's a big day.
It is a big celebration. You think about that. And, of course, our director's birthday as well.
I know.
You and Rochelle up early in the morning getting ready, and now to think you got to get on TV in the morning.
It's going to be a great day for us.
It's a great way to kick it off. That's right. Happy birthday. And a lot going on in Horry County government. Of course, this Friday, with all the permits being issued, I think you said those are 10-day permits for the kickoff of the first Bike Fest.
We do. Air Harley-Davidson Rally, we issue that as a 10-day event. Those permits will actually, they can vend May 13th through the 22nd is what we consider that to be vending time. So currently we have, last year we issued about 372 permits throughout the county. This year we're going to be a little bit under that. But still looking for a big season. Right,
and this is just in Horry. I mean, there's a lot right on the county line. Does Georgetown go through the same process?
Now, this is just the unincorporated area of the county. The city of North Myrtle Beach will, if they do even allow vending, will issue their own vending permits, as well as the city of Myrtle Beach, the town of Surfside. So we're just talking about unincorporated county that we issue those permits for.
Oh boy, so a little less than 372, but a pretty sizable number.
Yes, yes.
Heck, I mean, for our viewers in the PD in southeastern North Carolina who may not understand the impact, there are a ton of folks coming in the area for this Carolina's Harley-Davidson Owner Association, a big event.
That's right. We get about 300,000 people that come for that event. And like we like to say, it's not our first rodeo. We've done this for several years, and there's a lot of planning behind the scenes meetings that go along with this event to make sure everything is in order and goes as smooth as possible.
Absolutely. Real quick about yourself. Are you originally from the area, Lisa?
No. I've been here for about 10 years, and I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, really? What brought you down to the area?
My grandmother grew up in Marion, South Carolina, and she, all of her relatives live in Florence and Charleston and Columbia, and so we've always vacationed in the Murrells Inlet area forever. My parents ended up retiring and moved down here, and I just kind of tagged along and met a nice man and married him and had a baby, and life is good.
Yeah. You know, what's your baby doing now on your birthday? Is it he or she?
It's a girl. Her name is Angelina, and she's 16 months old and trying to talk so bad, it's killing her.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
She's babbling up a storm. But she's
What's that like being a mom now, Lisa?
It's great. Yeah. Everything is so much calmer, it seems. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting. It's a big deal, I know. It's a big deal. Well, you know, the move down here, and of course, Horry's probably considerably different than growing up in Virginia, but some of the, you know, when you think about the move down and actually staying here now, you said a little more, around a decade.
I tell you what, just being here in 10 years, county has changed dramatically. It really has. When I moved down here, there was no Broadway at the beach.
Right.
You know, there were a lot of those areas along the bypass, and the area really, it's probably starting around 1995, has just taken on a life of its own, and it's busy. It really is.
Absolutely. I think I saw early on, and not long after arriving in the area, you got hooked up with one of the radio stations, expanded to another radio station. I think I saw you were the program director at Wade.
Right. Back then, there were, of course, different companies. You probably know that radio stations will get bought out from time to time and merge, and so that what happened. Wave 104 was merged. At that point, it was Pinnacle Broadcasting, and then it bought out and changed ownerships, and then I went on to do the talk radio with Steve Porter on WRNN. So
that's right. I think I saw. So you were co-anchoring that with him?
Yes, just like Debbie and Dave is today.
How exciting!
It was interesting.
Yeah, what was that like being with Steve Porter?
He's a neat guy,
and
he's got some stories, and he's a neat guy, and he's good for the area and does a great job on the show.
I think I also saw you were doing some work with Time Warner Cable a little bit after that, anchoring some of their TV, some of their local origination stuff, Myrtle Beach Scene maybe?
Right, that's right. For 2 years I did that show. And when I did radio, you know, we would get up at 3 in the morning, early morning, and then we would get off around 11, so I had a lot of afternoons free. So Richard Green with local edition of Headline News would need some people to fill in when he goes on vacation, so I did that for a little while.
And then a little stint at Burroughs and Chapin prior to the arrival as this public information officer here in the county, and it looks like that's been 4.5, almost, what, 5 years?
It's about 7 years ago. Yeah, with Burroughs and Chapin, and work with Pat Dowling over there in their public relations department, and even that company and everything that they're into has just grown as well within the last couple of years. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's incredible. When did you arrive as public information officer for Horry County?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. Okay. Well, of course,
doesn't seem that long.
I'm sure it doesn't. When you think about some of the activities, of course, in that 5-year period, you all have moved into your new home.
Yes.
Where you all are located now, the big new judicial center.
It's beautiful, and it was needed for years and planned for years. And that building we've been in, I believe it was 3 years this month that we moved in, and we call it our one-stop shop location. Before, and if you're not from Conway, you can kind of get confused, even though it's a small little town, and we had buildings all over town, and poor people would come in from New York and move here, and we'd be sending them all over town to get things done. And so now most of our departments are in our Government and Justice Center that we have in Conway, and it's a beautiful 212,000 square foot building.
Wow.
The atrium alone that separates the courtrooms from the government side is $1 million right there. The building cost $40 million to construct and was put off a little bit from Hurricane Floyd in 1999, but we're glad to be there, and it's a beautiful building.
Do folks ever come in and visit the facility? It's, 212,000 square feet, that's a huge facility. Do you all ever bring folks in or allow folks to come check out the facility?
Sure. We get probably just people doing business, whether they're there for jury duty or paying their taxes or getting a building permit. We get about 500 people a day that walk through that building doing business, but we do tours. We get a lot of Conway Leadership Group, and LGS will come through, and we'll get other school groups. We get a lot of school groups that will come and learn about the judicial system and come and sit in on a court hearing, so we do schedule those quite often.
I bet. And of course, as you said, with so many, multiple number of buildings around town that folks used to visit a courthouse or visit multiple other locations, I think they can all get everything done at once now.
That's correct. We call it our campus. The old courthouse was renovated. It's a beautiful building. And so we've renovated that. We do have our magistrates in that building. We have Department of Juvenile Justice. Our SLED office is in there. Central Traffic Court is in there, which is unfortunately quite busy. Everything's kind of real close together. Their Registration and Elections Office and Veterans Affairs. And
so when the folks were coming over, getting ready for this Friday, again, let's go ahead and dovetail into this Friday and much of what will lead up. And of course, the bike weeks, we also want to get into the comprehensive plan, the Envision 2025.
Yeah.
And if you were needed to get off to school now or off to work, is there a good website or a phone number possibly for folks to call to learn more about the county?
Sure. Our website is www.horrycounty.org.
Okay.
We have all of our departments on there, our meetings. You can meet your council member, get a picture of them. You can register to vote. Find out your precincts, voting locations. We also have our sex offenders registry. Believe it or not, we have quite a few in our area. People can actually pull that information up, get their picture, find out what they did and where they live. It's all public information.
That's all at horrycounty.org.
That's right.
I think I saw there, as you say, there's such a considerable number of departments. Are there 30-plus departments?
30-plus departments. We have 11 courtrooms alone just in our judicial building. We have lots of elected and appointed officials throughout the county as well, and it's getting bigger.
Absolutely, and some critical info on there, and a great introduction from your administrator, from Danny Knight, right there at the beginning, and of course to have an understanding, a better understanding, right on the front page of his background and the background of being involved with, I think it said 1,700 plus folks, department heads, and the 3 folks on his right hand that are so involved in helping make sure the county runs so smoothly.
Yeah, Danny Knight's a great administrator. He's been with the county for probably about 30 years, and he really loves Horry County. He does, and he's started out as Parks and Rec and has worked his way up, and he's got 3 great division directors, which pretty much play a role as his assistant administrators, and they're really good people that work for the county, and they do hard work. They really
Absolutely.
do.
I get, thinking of that, when we think about as we're getting ready for this Friday and that 10-day stretch, there was a lot of efforts. These folks come into town well in advance. They come over for that permitting process.
Yes.
What's that like?
The county is broken up into 3 zones for vending permits. 250, well, there's 3 zones. There's the south zone, which is from 544 to Georgetown, east of the waterway, and then from 544 to the North Carolina line, east of the waterway is our north zone, and then the west, everything west of the waterway. And the south and the west, I'm sorry, the north and the west has 250 permits max, and the South Strand just got amended to 150 permits. So we get quite busy, and we call some of these bigger areas destination sites. The Myrtle Beach Harley Shop at the front gate of the Air Force Base and Iron Gate, they have a lot of people in that area. SBB Four Corners, that's a high volume area. But we do issue the permits. I can tell you that every public safety personnel, whether it's fire rescue, EMS, or police or sheriff's office, every 911, people forget about them, but they're crucial to our lives. But they play key roles in the Harley Fest, and also no one gets a day off. Pretty much everybody is working, and if we've got a detective that usually is solving a case, he's doing manning checkpoints as far as traffic points. So we really soup everything up. We are actually this year, for the second time, opening up our Emergency Operations Center on a limited capability. We have completed a 911 redundant center in there, so we will have dispatch in our EOC, mainly tracking accidents, injuries, and our ER capacities. We want to know if Grange Street can't take any more patients or they overloaded. How is Conway Medical Center looking? We also hire 4 additional ambulances, BLS, Basic Life Support ambulances for those, for the Harley-Davidson rally for 10 days. Because we're that busy, unfortunately, for ambulances. And we also station fire rescue personnel in all the hospitals to help turn over those ambulances, to clean them up, to get the paperwork done so we can get them back in service.
Lisa, what a huge commitment. And this is just in the county.
This is
for
just
folks
the
who are
county.
coming down to think about the city areas, they're doing much of the same in their own micro areas.
That's right. We run ambulances for the entire county. City of Myrtle Beach has 2 ambulances, but we are responsible for Loris, Atlantic Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Conway. So not only do we have these motorcycles, 300,000, just a couple, on that side, but we have to answer calls, out in Loris, out in Ketchup Town, all those areas as well. So they, as you can imagine, stay quite busy.
What a tremendous potential strain on the county. Of course, you all are ready.
Sure. Or
stay ready and constantly improving every year. I guess every year it can only get better as you think of little things from the year before.
We average about $250,000 of overtime costs of personnel only for not only Harley-Davidson Rally, but the Atlantic Beach Festival as well. And County Council gave us, or we get for local accommodations tax, we get about $800,000. And County Council has given us $400,000 to put towards public safety. And that includes not only these 2 festivals, but we also have the fall rally that we deal with. And we also do police enhancements during the seasons. Between April and September, we overstaff too to help with the beach service, beach patrol, litter pickup, and things like that. So that money is used for that as well.
And of course, the Memorial Day Bike Fest or the Atlantic Beach Bike Fest coming up, is there a similar permitting process or a little different? Surely it's still a heck of a lot of bikers coming into the area.
It's exactly the same, the zones, the amounts. However, last year we issued 7.
Is that right?
But even though the zoning side and the vending permit side is not big for us, because most people set up within the town limits of Atlantic Beach and they have their own system and their own permits, we still have to deal with the traffic and the medical side of things too. And even though that festival, what we consider 5 days, we stay, if not more busy during that festival than the
10-day spread for the Harley event.
Overtime cost is about the same on both, and we'll also hire out the 4 additional ambulances for those 5 days and staff the hospitals and open up the EOC as well.
There's quite a bit of interface in with your counterpart at Myrtle Beach, Mark Crew, I suppose, as well as any other public information officers in the county, as well as working with the emergency preparedness folks. Or I mean, there's quite a bit making sure you all are all speaking from the same voice.
It is, and we work well together, and we do lots of exercises, cross-training. It's important for us to know what City of Myrtle Beach has.
Right.
You know, what are their capabilities? What kind of equipment do they have if we need them to back us up on something? Just in March, we all got a paid trip from FEMA to attend their emergency management course, and they paid for 75 people countywide to go to this, and we did a hurricane simulation, and it was intense and it was incredible, and we had people from the hospitals, Red Cross, DHEC, City of Myrtle Beach, Surfside, and it was great, and we learned that we do pretty good.
Right.
We came through, and after the end of that course, they said out of 186 different counties and cities that has taken their course, we are up there with the best, and that made us feel good.
Great. And y'all traveled out of the area. This was a trip to Pennsylvania? Or?
Emmitsburg, Maryland, at the National Fire Academy place that they have there.
Okay. I bet that was a huge trip. Everyone's still talking about that.
Yeah, it was very nice.
You've got two huge books in front of you there. Yeah. Either one in and of itself a gigantic display there. Share with viewers a little about what's involved, of course, in the fiscal year, the financial plan for Horry County, the involvement there, as well as the comprehensive plan going forward.
This small, I don't know, 600-page book that we have here, it's funny because when people call me up and say, oh, can you fax me a copy of your budget? I was like, I don't think you necessarily want us to do that. People don't realize, as you can see how thick it is, what goes into a budget for the county. We have our general fund budget, which is the main part of the budget, but there's also several funds that go along with that. But our budget process is a very lengthy process. Our budget or fiscal year goes from July 1st to June 30th, so we're in the heat of it right now.
Right.
And just had our first, our budget workshop actually is going to be tonight that we'll have. But all the departments do their budgets and turn it into the budget director usually by the first of the year. And then they are mulled over and sent to the division directors, and they say, you know, yeah, you probably need that, but we don't have the money for it. And everything is important. Every department has a need, and it is legit, but it comes down to money and what we have. So we have put a preliminary budget together for council. And they will go through several budget workshops before we adopt this budget and get it passed.
It'll be adopted relatively soon so that it'll be ready for July 1st?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. That's the goal.
Yeah, there's quite a bit involved there, and of course that requires multiple readings. How does that work for viewers who may not be familiar or may not have visited county council meetings?
Sure. Usually we have resolutions and ordinances. Resolutions take one reading, and it's more of a good faith gesture. It's non-binding. An ordinance, however, is binding. The budget document has to be adopted by a budget ordinance, and that takes 3 readings. And usually at the second reading there's a public hearing. And all of our meetings are broadcast live, that people can actually view them, and we love people to come. And actually we've been getting some pretty good attendance coming, a couple hundred people, and it's important for people to get involved and to know what's going on, and to pay attention to the articles and TV shows, what's going on, and even look on our website to get some issues. So it's nice when we actually see the council chambers packed.
Oh, yeah. And there's quite a bit of room in the council chambers.
Yes, yes. From the other, I think our other chambers held maybe 60 chairs, and this one is about 200. And we have an overflow area that we can set a couple of hundred more people in as well.
Great. So folks could watch and be there, and so be able to come in for public input or otherwise.
That's right.
Which is a critical timing component. You know, when someone visits for the first time, and of course we want to get into the comprehensive plan, but for folks who do visit, I think you gave a pretty good idea of what all's there, but that idea of folks visiting, and whether it's a leadership group, but for viewers who throughout the county want to come in, is that regular scheduling for coming in to visit, or do they have to check in advance?
It's probably better to check in advance. That way we can get people scheduled for that. You know, when you come into our building, you'll come into a main glass atrium area, and there is an information desk there that'll guide people to departments and help them out. To the right side, of course, is our judicial center, which houses the 11 courtrooms, probate court, which handles estates and marriage licenses. We have our clerk of court that handles the jury duty and pretty much the keeper of all the records. Family court, which is people paid their child support. We also have all of our judges offices in there, as well as our master and equity judge that does foreclosures in that side. And then to our left side, on the first floor, we try to keep all the public areas on the first floor so they don't really have to travel up.
Right.
On our first floor, in the government side, we have our code enforcement, planning, and zoning, where people would come and get a building permit, septic tank permit. We also have our Register of Deeds office, which is a extremely busy department, especially with title researchers alone from the attorney's offices, where people can get copies of deeds and liens and look up things like that. We also have our assessor's office, which is currently doing the reassessment, countywide reassessment. So they're
very busy.
They're busy there. We also have the auditors in the treasurer's office to pay your car taxes and your property taxes and apply for a homestead exemption on that floor. And then our second floor of that building is county council, our finance department, administration, attorney's office, mine, and budget, and human resources.
Well, you know, when you look at the budget and you think about the needs, and knowing that all the administrators or all the department heads are oftentimes seeking more funds because they really want to implement as much as possible.
Sure.
Oftentimes it's vital for folks within the county to come visit to see the extent of what all happens within the county, to understand there's 1,700 folks whose lives are dependent on making sure that our lives are that much simpler.
Right. And all the departments really care. I mean, there are so many needs that are out there for the citizens, and we're growing so much. And everybody's kind of having those growing pains, and you're feeling it. Not only, you know, staff and you know, council's put in a tough position each year. You know, do we raise taxes? You know, do we try to keep the taxes lower? And then, you know, do we have to cut services? And it happens every year. It's tough.
We're looking over there at the comprehensive plan, and it was so great visiting horrycounty.org yesterday to see, I think it's Envision 2025 on there.
That's right.
Which ties into the comprehensive plan, really planning for the future. Share with viewers a little about that small book.
This little small book as well. This one is our comprehensive plan. That was actually done in 1999, and it was contracted out by a company. And first time one of these has ever been done for the county. Now it's by law that this document has to be have a complete rewrite every 10 years. We're not there quite yet, but we've got enough growing pains that we need to get going on it. So we have actually started that process. We're calling it Envision 2025. It's an 18-month process, and we're doing it all in-house by our planning department, if they already don't have enough to do already. So we have already kicked off a lot of our community meetings throughout the county, really getting feedback from the public. You know, what do they like? What do they don't like? You know, bring us pictures, show us what you like, and do you want more sidewalks? Do you need more parks? Do we have enough industry? What type of jobs are in this area? So we've gotten a lot of good public input back from the people. We've also received, we did surveys and put them at all of our county libraries to get feedback on that. This is a guiding tool, basically, for a planning commission and county council to make those hard decisions. You've seen in the newspapers and media that we're having issues of commercial button up against residential. What type of buffering requirements do we need? Do we need to look at our zoning districts, which we have? I mean, we've actually just zoned the entire county just a couple of years ago. I mean, the county zoning is relatively new to Horry County. So we're still learning. We've redid some of our zoning districts. County council, some of the pains that we were having is there's just too many uses for this zoning district. We need to limit them. Why do we need 500 uses for this one district? So we've gone back, looked at those, met with the people, and have kind of shortened up that list. So this is an ongoing process. It's a great tool. Any decisions that we make on rezoning requests and things of that nature, everything should be looked at this. This comprehensive plan, we measure population. Where do we think we're going to be in 20 years? Do we think we're going to have another Carolina Forest over here? Is the back gate of the Air Force Base property going to be another city of Myrtle Beach? You know, where is that population going? Where are the trends with all of our new infrastructure that we have in the highways? We know the people are moving there. The construction's going where the interstates and highways are being built. We'll also look at our economy. What type of jobs do we have in this area? Are we diverse enough? Do we need more industry? This document will also look at air quality of life, parks, open space, and those are important, preserving what we have.
Absolutely.
So it's a pretty intensive document, and we're excited about it. It's a long process, and again, the public will completely be involved in this process. After we go back, we've heard from them, we'll go back, start working on this, and of course this will have to be approved by the Planning Commission and County Council as well, so people will again have more public input into this document.
Those are great words. Lisa, thanks so much for being with us this morning. I'm sorry we've run out of time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Lisa Bourcier coming up next. Think about that, a county more than 1,134 square miles, over 30 departments within county government, nearly 1,700 employees. That's a huge commitment. We think about this Friday, 10 days of a big event that brings in 300,000 motorcycles to the area, 300,000 folks, all with a common mission. But these events happen all the time in this area. We didn't get to talk to Lisa about if she has a counterpart in other parts of the country that's going through similar things. There's probably not one. There's probably not a similar thing anywhere in the country. It's right here in Horry County. If you're watching us from the PD or southeast North Carolina, come down. Enjoy what Horry County has to offer. You heard her talk about, she used in that last sentence the word public throughout. She wants the public to be involved. All county government wants the public to be involved. Get involved. Visit the Judicial Center. Head over to Conway. Take the time. They'd love to have you.